Okay.
Oh, here we go. Let's play pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is it short?
No.
It's yours?
Oh,
Deb's, I think.
no, it wasn't. It was, it says planning. I didn't know if Lori left it. Did you guys ask for something?
No. Okay. You don't want to touch
All right, welcome to the meeting of the Stamford Planning Commission. If you have a matter to discuss that is not included on the agenda, you may do so by addressing the chairperson and stating your name and address. Okay, I am acting chairperson tonight. Anyways, we'll talk about that later, I think, maybe not. Let's see, we're gonna call to order, hearing of visitors. I think what we'll do is, there's really no visitors here other than the people who are gonna do most of the talking. So we won't have to worry about that. We can somehow, if somebody comes in later and they wanna talk, we're gonna allow them to talk. It's got something to do with this for a minute or two. And so we're going from there. Does anybody have anything to say right now before?
Anybody need an agenda?
Sorry, should I make copies first then? I never do because I mail it out. But I can from now on.
So what she's saying actually is print it out yourself
Oh, okay. I just know, I'm
in a nice way.
I'm trying to save the earth, and I'll just
Yeah.
send them for
Oh,
us.
that's good, that's good.
Right. Okay. So, hearing no mention from the gallery, unless Kurt's got something to say from the.
No, nothing yet.
Good. How about the reading and approval of the minutes from last thing? Anybody looking for that?
I did, yeah. Is it okay with everybody to get those in emails still?
Yes. I'll make a motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's see. So we're gonna have a discussion now with the young ladies from BCRC. Thanks for coming out. We appreciate your assistance here, and the floor is yours. Yeah.
It's nice weather coming into Stamford than in Bennington. It's been like gray and rainy all day, and then I get in here and like the sun's shining and it's beautiful. So, wish we had that weather. So I'm just gonna pass out some copies of the survey. This was sent to Lisa to distribute to everybody, but I also printed copies. I guess I was not earth-minded like you were, Lisa.
No,
But
it is super
it
appreciated.
is double-sided. It is double-sided printing.
No, we need to go through it.
I have 2 extra copies. I'll just
We're
leave
willing to
them.
stand
Oh, you take it. She'll be getting one in the mail.
I got one already.
So our main purpose for being here tonight is to talk about the survey, the draft survey that we just distributed, and also talk about getting some dates identified for the different activities that we discussed at last month's meeting. So that would be like the walk and tour and community visioning being the most important ones.
You were on
Oh, is that the half sheet that I distributed
Yes.
last time?
You got it last time, I'll be,
Last call.
so I thought you were on it.
Yeah, thank you.
We're not singling you out. Yeah.
I just.
Fair enough.
I think we had some discussion at the last meeting about, there was interest from the planning commission about doing a mailing to residents. We can talk about that tonight as well. But I think in order to, do that mailing, you would want to have the dates for things and information about directing people to take the survey. So I don't know if you had a preference of how you wanted to start. Do we want to talk about some potential dates first and then get into the survey discussion, because that might be a little bit, depending on the amount of feedback that you all have, that might be a little bit of a longer discussion. So I don't know if there is a preference on how you want
I think we had, one of the questions on the floor, I don't know if it was answered, it might have been, but, the cost of the mailer, is that part of the grant? As a survey and all of that? I think,
So we didn't, in the application budget, we did not put in money for the mailing specifically. We did put in some budget for like the other community events, like, printing materials, and like having, refreshments and such, but we didn't actually, in the application budget, put the cost of a mailing in the application.
I would trade refreshments for a mailer,
yeah, because we can always bring.
because, people
Yeah.
can,
I think
potluck it.
I agree, and I think it's also fair for $24,000.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the breakdown, because
Mhm.
that's our money. I mean, it is in the grand scheme of things.
Don't we have the breakdown?
Yeah,
No, but I think
some of
that's,
the things, I mean.
that's only fair, because this should have been, I think the mailing should have been part of that. So what happened that we didn't get the mailing in there?
I just don't think it was
I don't
something that
think-
came
yeah.
up in the discussion when I was working on the application, and I met with you all a couple times during the application process. It wasn't, I didn't bring it up, and neither did anybody here, as something, that potentially might be something we wanna do, but, now it seems like there is one.
Well, it came out of that,
Yeah.
it came out of that discussion of things that we could do, and
Yeah,
everybody had a little comment about that part of it, but
yeah,
the
it just,
question did come up, but I think somebody else interrupted and it went a different direction at that. I don't remember how it worked, but that's usually the way it works.
Do we have a general idea, having done mailings before in town, what that costs? I can't remember.
Well, it's 78 cents, maybe more.
For everybody in town, I thought it was somewhere around $350. Does that sound right? You
No,
should
no.
know.
Well, I mean, if you've got like 800 people in town, it's
If we're
gotta
mailing
be 350 households-ish.
But if we're mailing a survey out, it's gonna be heavier.
It's gonna be heavier.
Potentially.
I'm saying $1 a household.
That sounds-
probably, so $400 maybe.
Yeah, I thought that's just
Yeah.
somewhere.
So did we already just,
You just need to like
Raise your hand, man.
raise your hand and ask to be recognized.
did we already ask if there was enough time and the ability to put it out there electronically
We just
first?
started talking about it.
Yeah, we just started talking.
And then
We
mail
haven't
out only
talked
to
about it
people?
yet. Yeah, but we did mention that last time, about having
You weren't
electronic, but we haven't decided if we were not going to then send it to somebody. It doesn't, I don't think we can not send a paper copy to someone, do you know what I mean, even if there's an electronic option.
No, but if we, for instance, if you sent it to me electronically, I would much rather do it. I'm
Right.
just gonna go do, and then so if you have a way of tracking that, then you know, but, like, there's a certain percentage of people that are gonna do it electronically.
Right, but I don't think there's a way for us to know for certain which houses not to send it to. I think we just need to send it to every house.
I think so too, just because there are some people who just are not.
They'll say they'll do it electronic or.
And you know what, they see it and they're like, oh, I'll do that later, but then when they get it in the mail, they're like, oh yeah, this thing, or, I mean, I'm a person who prefers to do it, and mail it back in. So I feel like we just have to have both options, electronic and paper, but get it to as
Yeah.
many people as possible, because we also know that a lot of people won't return it.
I like what you said about being able to go on. I mean, I'm more apt to do a survey if it's in front of me.
What do you mean, on the computer? or
Yeah.
paper?
Yeah, so, I mean, what about, I don't know if this would be cost more, or if this would help the survey better, or send out a notice to everybody in town, like a card, go to such and such a website.
That's
and-
assuming more money. That's,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think when this goes out, it goes out with a notice saying this can be completed online, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
And then people won't have to use their own stamp to send it back or whatever.
Right.
Are we gonna require people to self-stamp?
Well, then you just double
Yes.
the price.
I know,
Then you
but
wasted-
would you mail it, would you mail it back?
No, I do, I
I
would,
would.
I would prefer to have this copy, but then if I have the option to do it online, this
But
is like a
say you weren't
reminder.
a computer person, would you then wanna take your money?
Absolutely, everybody has it.
well, we have a Dropbox.
Oh, yeah, so we could just.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
there's
the
something
Dropbox.
on it that says like, you can return hard
To
copies.
the town office?
Yeah.
Okay, that's.
Or mail it back.
Or mail it.
That's perfect then.
So we need some language that's gonna go on top of this,
Yeah,
whenever.
I said
Yeah.
cover letter, it needs a cover letter.
Yeah, because I think that helps answer, like, one of the questions that we had coming into this, when talking about the mailing, it was like, what did we want to actually mail? Like, there have been some towns that we've worked with that mailed a postcard that just had like, you know, some brief information with like a web address. But it sounds like the preference here is to actually mail the survey itself with some sort of cover sheet that provides instructions for how to return the survey or do it online.
I
And
feel like we
maybe
have, yeah,
could
right.
also include information about the events, like the when we set those dates, the walking tour and the,
Does everyone else agree we kind of have a more elderly population here that really want to send a paper one out?
Yes.
Gotta make it as
I
easy
think
as
so,
possible.
yeah.
People
We
that
did,
are actually gonna answer it anyway.
Exactly, I think.
What's
the
that?
The
elderly-
people that are actually gonna answer it anyway.
I sent Aldi an email last week,
Yeah,
and within 30 seconds, my phone rang.
yeah.
I'm like,
Your phone rang, you didn't respond to the email, you called.
I hate email.
But you read it pretty
you
quick.
saw it.
you saw it, it was like that quick, I'm not kidding you, it was like this.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, when we were
I'm the
looking-
same way though, I'd rather talk.
I like to get things out of the way. When we were talking about the whole cost of this thing, part of that was for this survey, part of the cost listed.
Well, that's part of what Deb is getting at.
I think what you said is the paper and everything is part of it. Just the physical mailing or the postage
Yeah.
was omitted.
Yeah, and I think we've got some flexibility in terms of like the supplies budget, like when we put in the budget, you know, X amount for printing and stuff like that, we can flex it, I think, to, account for the mailing expense, especially because I think, I don't have the budget in front of me, but I think like some of the amounts that I put for like printing were, you know, probably wouldn't actually cost that much to print that paper. So I think there, you know, without knowing the exact cost off the top of my head, I think that there's flexibility.
Could I see that? Maybe we need to make copies of it.
Well,
I just didn't bring it.
I don't, it's in my other.
Like,
folder,
never
too.
know, I feel like I never know everything.
can't
It's in
find
my
it.
BCRC.
Oh, what are you
folder.
looking for?
The budget, that should be this, I think you weren't on the board yet.
That,
You want me to make some copies?
Yeah, do you mind, Deb? No.
huh?
Deb's gonna make us some copies.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I got a handle on that copy.
All right.
How
Take me a
many
week to
should I
figure it
make?
out.
Just for us?
Yeah, I don't need one.
Dan, do you want one?
Want the budget?
7.
And I think it makes sense in the cover letter, as you just mentioned, to also include the public walking tour. And I feel like potentially the community visioning meeting should maybe just happen at the conclusion of the walking tour.
Yeah, that was actually something we were gonna ask you about. that
Yeah.
questions. And I think you even brought it up in your email response to me when I was like, here's materials to share, and you're like, oh, I wonder if we could talk about
Oh, yeah. I wonder-
doing that. And so I don't know if you had shared the dates that I included in my email with the planning commission as well.
I think I forwarded the whole email.
Okay, yeah, so that would have the dates in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we've done it a couple of different ways with like other communities that we've worked on similar projects where some of them we've had like, you know, they've been separate, discrete events where you've had a walking tour or something like that, and then a community visioning meeting. And then we've had it where we have done exactly what you just suggested, of after the walking tour, moving into the community visioning meeting. So I think if that's your preference, if you feel like that's what the residents would respond to best, then
I just think
that would be
spring
great.
is coming, everybody's got stuff
Yeah.
to do in their yard, like how many times are you gonna wrangle people into coming?
Mhm.
And it seems like if we can do them both.
Yes, I.
And then the other question becomes, should the survey be out but not due yet, so that people could potentially talk about
Yeah.
the survey and if people had questions?
Yeah.
Have it be, you know, they've already gotten it, it's informed them about the walking tour. The walking tour culminates in whatever little jolly moment without refreshments, where there's community visioning, and that then as the result of that, people are inspired potentially to fill out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Does that work?
I think you're thinking of it exactly, or at least makes perfect sense to me. And that is typically how we've done it, you know, with other projects, which again, how we do it with other projects depends on what each community tells us they want to do and what works best, so, which is what you're doing right now. But yeah, I think it's definitely a good idea to have the survey out and available when people are doing the walking tour visioning meeting so that we can mention it to people and even have some copies there. Knowing that they will hopefully have received theirs in the mail, but it's always a good idea to have some copies there.
Yeah.
They threw it away, but then they changed their heart.
Yeah, or it just gets buried in their papers you get in the mail sometimes.
So I know that you had proposed in your email the possibility of May 30th or June 6th. Does anybody have any strong feelings?
Yeah, so we proposed a couple of date options. Now it's changed a little. We're thinking, it seems like there's consensus from the board of doing a combined walking tour and visioning meeting. We can discuss it, but I would just throw out a couple of options for consideration for the walking tour, which 2 Saturday dates, and then if people felt like Saturday, like mid-morning or sometime wouldn't work, then there were some, like, we could do something during the week in an afternoon.
Do we need to have a rain date, Callie, for that?
Yeah.
Like if we have Saturday, the rain date's Sunday, or Sunday, bad for you then?
I think it just depends on your sense of when people like to kind of show up for things in Stamford.
I mean, a lot of people go and do trash and recycling on Saturday. So I feel like noon on Saturday,
Yes.
you go down to the recycling center, you catch up with everybody, dump your trash, and away you go.
I love it.
To
And
the
you put a
next.
sign up at the.
Yeah, be like, you know, walking to, put a giant sign up at the transfer station that says, walking tour starting at noon. Yeah, and then have it be, you know, whatever. So
Love it.
I think that's the way.
What is, graduation?
Oh,
It's probably,
Is it,
June, later in June.
okay,
I know it's really late in mass.
okay.
Is it on the calendar?
Saturday.
No, I think it's probably later.
I think
I was thinking college, but that's earlier. It's usually Mother's Day.
Right, smack in.
It's like mid to late June
Okay.
this year, maybe?
Yeah. And then that's the other thing, people start vacationing. So I feel like, well, maybe we do the 30th with the rain date, May 30th with the rain date, the 6th.
Oh, you don't want to.
Memorial weekend is the weekend before, right?
It is,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, we're not interfering with that, God
but usually
forbid.
people are camping, their
Barbecues.
first camping trip and.
No, Memorial Day is the 25th, so it's the following,
So you want to do the rain date the following Saturday instead?
I think so, only because of church on Sunday.
Well,
I guess we do noon.
And Sunday might be a bad day.
Okay.
I think Sunday would.
What, does that work for you too?
okay, so 12 noon on May 30th. Walking, visioning, snacking, celebrating.
Rain date, June 6th.
Rain day, June 6th.
And approximately how long, I mean, are we looking at, so we can give a time frame?
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess now that we're thinking that it'll be combined, like a combined walking tour with visioning meeting, it would be a little bit longer than if we just did, one or the other. So I'm trying to think, like when we did this similar format in Pownell, we did a walking tour Pownell and then went back to the town office and did the like visioning meeting, and that was like 2 3 hours?
Yeah, I would say maybe like 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours, yeah. Maybe
for the
like,
whole thing.
yeah, maybe like an hour and a half-ish for the walking. Not that we'd be walking very far, but if we're like, people are stopping, whenever you have a big group and you're stopping and talking, you're not gonna get very far.
Right.
So it would be a short area, and then maybe like an hour for the meeting with,
And also, because that would be good to have, you know, for some people who can't walk an hour.
Yeah.
It'd be great to have, you know, walking tour starts at noon, you know, community visioning meeting starts at whatever, 1:30 or 2,
Yeah.
something.
Choose if you.
Yeah.
Choose if you just wanna do one or the
Yeah.
other.
So who's gonna write up this visioning meeting slash?
We will.
You guys?
Yeah, we can take the lead on that. We did a visioning activity in Old Bennington in the fall, that I think we were imagining would sort of inspire this, and we ended up kind of asking people to write down different issues or topics that were important to them in their community, and then had an element where you were sort of forced to rank them in rank your own issues in a prioritization as a way to sort of understand what was most important to people. And it was helpful for us to really get a clear picture of
Okay,
like,
that's not gonna be based on this survey?
I think like some of the topics might be similar, but hopefully it'll be a different enough approach that it'll sort of get you thinking outside the box a little bit.
Cause I kinda looked through that survey, there was a lot of stuff in
Yeah,
there.
There's
that-
a lot.
extensive.
Yeah.
There was a lot in there that I didn't like.
Okay.
Wait,
Agreed.
We're happy
We'll
to.
get there.
can I ask a question about the survey? Is this survey the same survey that the town put out last time we did? It is not.
No, I have that one here.
So, we're gonna look at that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna look at it all.
Yes.
I feel like
Because it would be awesome to be able to, boy, would it be great to compare the two surveys.
Yes.
From between this
I did.
time and last time.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, the responses,
Oh,
be
yeah.
very, very interesting.
Oh.
At
Lori, I
least to
asked
me.
Lori and I never got anything back, so I take it she couldn't find it.
Wow, okay.
Did their group do them with us?
So-
Did they have them?
That's where I got the survey from.
The
Yeah,
last
I
planning?
found on our old file
The
system.
last planning thing? Yeah.
Callie gave me this
So-
whole survey.
Yeah, I found that, but I didn't find any response data, and I'm not even sure who at BCRC put that together
Jim.
at the time. It
Jim.
probably was Jim Sullivan, that's probably a pretty good guess. And it was just in a file folder called 2011 Town Plan.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure it's from 2011, but it doesn't have any other date indicator on the survey. So that's all that I could find in our files. So any response data would probably, if it exists somewhere, like, I can't actually
I know, it'd be
say where it
interesting.
would be, but we
Yeah.
don't have it. We just have that survey.
I don't even know how they did that. Do you remember?
I filled mine in and mailed it back.
So it was mailed.
It was
They were
mailed.
mailed, so I
They
remember.
were
And you're
mailed.
saying Lori can't find it? Can't find the
I
results?
asked for the survey and she didn't get that.
We've approved that in the town plan since 2000.
It's gotta be.
We've done it since like 2016.
Yeah, it really predates us.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
there, so-
2016, so maybe
survey.
we're just looking
When
over
was
the
it?
year.
There's been another one since.
Yeah, that's the only one I could find from 2011, and if you did one more recently, then we
I
don't
guess
I
have
don't know
it.
if it was a survey.
Well,
What's
it seems
the
to me
date
that's
on-
kind of an
what's the
important
date on the
thing.
cover of the town plan that we have right now?
Yeah,
You know, you go into like
What's the date
this
on the
time,
town plan?
Yeah.
look
I
back.
mean, if somebody mailed, if that previous survey, like people mailed their responses in, which it seems like that was the case, then, you know, it's possible that somebody at the town was like collecting those somewhere, and I don't know if data ever got entered online anywhere, or if it was, you know, so if it came to the town, yeah, if it just existed.
I can ask,
hard
I'll
copies,
ask
so-
Lori again to see, maybe she just forgot.
Yeah,
So I don't recall if we did a one to 2019 or not.
If we do a survey,
I don't know.
2019, no.
oh, we did not, so
I
this
don't-
was the last.
I don't
survey.
remember getting one in 2019. I remember getting one before that, couldn't tell you
Say
what
that
year.
far back, I know.
Well, like, a lot was
surveys,
going
I
on for
thought
me.
what year it was.
2019.
so, just wondering, before we get more in-depth into the survey, I just wanted to ask a couple other things about the events before we
Yeah.
get into that, if that's okay with
Yeah.
everybody. So one question we just wanted to ask is, we were wondering, for the walking tour, what we've done with other communities that we think works well is focusing on a, you know, specific, like, discrete area of town, like you know, in this case, maybe this like central village area that you've got here, that with, you know, the school and, you know, the VERMONT, you know, country store and, you know, various, like, this is sort of the center, if you will, and like focusing a route on that. And incorporating some historic information as well, and you had shared that really great resource that was like a scan, I believe, of an historic inventory of Stamford that we could maybe incorporate. But I think one thing that would be helpful for us is if there is somebody on the planning commission or an otherwise knowledgeable local resident who would be interested in being like the point person with us to help us figure out like the route and the stopping points and whatnot, because we are not
I wish we
well
had
versed.
someone like that. I nominate Kurt. All those in favor?
Hi.
And I mean, we need
Thanks,
to
Kurt.
think about what our route is gonna be, because we're gonna end up here is where.
Yeah, it
the
really
is.
was just like, we would really just appreciate, like, we
Like the
help
old
with like
cemetery.
planning out some sort of route.
Yeah. Sure.
And some like, if
He's
we're gonna
our-
stop somewhere, like some.
He's our
talking
town
points and
historian.
all. Oh, great, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
The best ways for us to get in touch with.
The old cemetery, the old
Uh,
cemetery is
uh,
amazing.
Thank you.
Can
You're on the hook
read
now.
something?
Yeah, when we've done walking
Said where the
tours with
walking
other
tour was gonna
communities, we
go
work
and
with,
where it was gonna stop.
in each case, those have been, there have been historical societies in the towns, and I don't know if Stamford still has them, but if the town historian
Oh.
is great.
We have like.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the one man
It sounded
historical
pretty
society.
specific, what places they wanted to stop.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Nancy
Nancy
and
also.
George
Carol
Clark.
Ethier
Oh,
are actually the
We're gonna state
historians
park.
Oh, really?
That's
are in control of the historical stuff that we
Oh,
have.
that's all the
Nancy and
Okay, great.
Nancy and Carol Ethier.
So
Yeah,
they could get together with Kurt,
I
come
mean,
up with a,
try, they won't let me in the room.
yeah, I mean, I think you definitely have to talk to
I got in
Nancy.
for about 30 seconds. Real.
well, they're not here,
I
so.
pretty much know, I
We've
don't
elected
know
Kurt.
that there's anyone in town that knows more about the history than I do too.
Yeah.
Oh, come
Even the
on.
people that have been here forever.
What about Nancy? Stop.
All right, well, Nancy, that's that.
Well, Nancy's not here.
Nancy.
And Nancy's not gonna wanna do a walking, I mean,
No, she might.
well, then
You
she
have a
can,
volunteer,
She
Kurt.
can do
we
it.
have, yeah,
We voted.
yeah, we're done.
We've already.
Moving
That's-
on, we have so much to.
Yeah.
Next.
One other-
So much to
Yeah, one other quick question, are you having the Stanford Resilience Fair again?
No,
No,
not
okay.
this spring,
Okay, 'cause-
maybe in the
yeah.
fall.
Okay, so we'll just cross that off the list.
Uh-oh.
So, I think pretty much covered it with dates and activities, so, and mailing, so I think once we talk through the survey and have that in a good place, then we'll have the survey ready, and then we can also, do up a cover letter, for lack of a better word, that kind of
Yeah.
summarizes all of this. We talk about that, but, yeah, I'm interested to know, I had distributed the survey via email to Lisa last week to give you all hopefully a chance to take a look at it before this meeting and then first copies. So this is sort of, we took a look at the 2011-ish possibly
Yeah,
survey
I
that
thought
got
it was
in
the
our old
old, I
file.
was from the last.
I don't even know if that's the date, but we took that survey and then looked at a number of the questions that we liked in that survey, and then also pulled in some other questions from some like more recent surveys that we've done with towns, and put it together into this survey, which could certainly be cut down. Like if your priority is being more concise, we can definitely talk about that. I think we kind of just put a lot in here to give you sort of an idea of the types of questions that we could and have asked on other surveys before. But if you're like, nope, our residents are not gonna fill out a 20+ question survey, then we can do some trimming. And we have it organized loosely by topic, section area, community topics, land use, housing, natural resources, historic resources, transportation mobility, community facilities and services, energy and flood resilience, and then there's demographic questions as well. So I'm happy to walk through it, or if you have specific, if you wanna dive right into some specific questions or
I
comments.
just have a question about this old survey,
Yeah.
which I didn't realize, I thought it was from the 2019, I guess I was looking in
might be, I honestly don't know.
And maybe it could be something on that.
A lot of the questions about land preservation and things like that were cut out. And it seems that this new one leans more towards like development, and it feels we've cut out a lot of the environmental stuff. This one, I'd like to see if we could put maybe more of that happening.
Are there any specific questions in the unknown date 2011-2019 survey that you were really hoping to see carried over?
Well, I guess I'll also just add that we did have a conversation about those, and part of why we took them out was we almost felt like, who wouldn't say yes, they want to protect all of these things, and so maybe we could think about a different way of asking a question to get at, like, to generate information that could be helpful in the plan. Like, I don't.
But do you hear this essential difference that she's like pointing out? Which, yes, I mean, a lot of times there's an inherent answer in the way a question is asked, right? So by eliminating some of these concerns about wild space, environment, you know, it gets crammed into some of these other things where, sure, but again, this feels tilted toward development. And this feels tilted toward conservation. And it seems, you know, I don't know how many folks who are not swimming in Act 181 and 250 and waiting for the final ring and the road rule. I don't know how many people are really aware, but I think a lot of people who live in this town actually really cherish our wild spaces, our environment, our clean water. You know, the line between development and, for example, people's wealth, people's quality of water, which, you know, and then the domino effect of, you know, having the requirement for our town of putting in septic, putting in a water system, not septic, sewer, putting in, you know, public sewer or public, it's like people don't necessarily understand the cascading effect of development, and that's one of the things that, you know, when people are given a chance in the questions to declare that part of what they care about, it comes up with a different answer. Yes?
I think I just heard you say, did I hear you say that you eliminated some of the questions because your thought was, oh, well, who wouldn't say yes to that? Did you say that?
What I mean is, I think it came out wrong, that I think it is so important, and I did not mean in any way to imply that it's not important. And one of the things we try to do with the questions is, like, set you all up for the best success in writing the plan so that we can protect the things that are important. So we shouldn't have eliminated it. What I meant was I want to find a way to make sure that the information we get back from those questions is as useful as possible for setting up those protections. And so if there's a way of reframing the question, or if it's asking it the way it was asked in 2011 so that we understand which of the natural resources are most important, or are they all top priority, just trying to, like, give us the best information to set up those protections in regulations or programs in the town moving forward.
And I think, like, as we were working on refining the survey, like, one of the reasons I think in terms of like trimming down those questions is that, you know, most of, like, the state planning goals as they exist that municipal plans have to meet, both the goals and the elements, there is a lot of emphasis on protecting natural, you know, resources and scenic resources. So I think there is necessarily going to be a lot of that in the plan to meet the state goals and state requirements for a municipal plan. So I think it was, not to say that it's not important, but just that, like, what do we really, like, what do you really wish you want, what do you really, like, twofold, like, what information would be the easiest for us to help us write and create the plan? And what would be, like, most important for you all to know as the planning commission? Like, what would be valuable information for you to receive from residents to help you in your position as planning commissioner. So that's sort of the twofold goal, is what helps us the most write the plan and what helps, so that's kind of what was in the back of our minds as we were like looking at questions and framing them. So,
Well,
but
because ultimately, when you say, well, when we write the plan, ultimately, don't we write the plan
yeah, I mean, I guess it,
for our town?
It's our vision.
yeah, it is, and I say like
And I know where people are saying it, but what you're hearing, or what I'm hearing from people, the concerns are, the state has mandated a lot, they have put down a lot of mandates right now. And they're trying to get us, in little towns like us,
Yeah, it is
to
tough.
close our bylaws, to lower our land requirements for a house build. They want us to, they did this in 2019 or 2018 when we were doing the bylaws in here. They were talking about lowering the lot size from 2 acres to a half acre. Or 1 acre.
That's just scattershot though, they're talking more centralized. So
No, I'm just saying, though, that's just one of the things they've been talking about, but we kind of refuse to do that, it maintains it too. But the state in itself is trying to get us to do things that are against what we really want.
Most
They're
of it's
not
gonna
looking
be
at what we
decided,
want.
most of the natural resource stuff's gonna be decided for you.
But
Oh, I
that's
know.
not,
Well, Act 81.
that is not the
181, I
point.
think.
The point is, if we are sending out a survey to the townspeople, because we wanna hear what the townspeople want, it shouldn't be, skewed by someone, shouldn't be skewed by our own planning commission. It should, if we're gonna send out a survey, it should actually be in search of helping people describe to the planning board what it is that is important to them.
Yeah,
Not to
questions that
answer
don't allude
certain
to it.
questions to get
Yeah.
to certain answers,
Mm-hmm.
no matter who's
Right.
doing it.
Right.
Yes.
Like I'm
Survey,
looking
a
at
real
this
survey.
saying, box stores.
Right.
Take
Oh, I
that
know.
right out of there.
Exactly,
Well,
me too.
somebody may look at that and say, yeah, I would like to have a box store here.
Yeah.
So, just
Except
because
not,
I
except
think
not
it's,
right next to me or not right across from me.
No,
Right.
it's just in tier 3.
I mean, you're gonna get a lot of
Right.
different answers, you're gonna
Yeah.
get people that tell you they wanna build in the floodplain, but I mean, you're not gonna be able to
Right.
do that.
Right.
And when that's the case, we try to include, like, when there are state rules that say, like, there's a question about the accessory dwelling units, and we generally wanna know what people have to say about accessory dwelling units, and we also included a note to say,
Right.
you must allow these by right where you have single family homes. So we don't want people to feel tricked, like, well, I said,
Right.
90% of people said no ADUs, but why are there ADUs in this?
so why would we
now?
even have that in the survey?
Yeah.
If it's state mandated? I think
Yeah, it's gonna frustrate
it's gonna
people.
frustrate people.
Yeah.
And
State
they
law
say, wait a
says
minute,
that
we all
if
said
it's a
no.
single family dwelling, they can have an ADU.
They can have an ADU, that's just
But-
the state law, so why?
I guess, like, it seems like a way to sort of educate people and maybe share a little bit of this information that it is state law. I guess our thinking was if it's gonna be in the bylaws or it's gonna be allowed by right, then like this is a chance to sort of let people know that that's what's happening, so that they're like, hey, I can answer any questions about that. Why is there an AD going up in my neighbor's yard?
That's not the
But-
point of the survey. The survey is to gather
Yeah.
information
Yeah.
and feelings from the
This is,
residents.
this is not to educate.
Part of-
That's when they come to the zoning.
Part of the community visioning moment could be to explain some things that are just the law now, right? So that people understand them.
Right, it's kind of confusing that should the town enable more attainable housing, ADUs, and they can say yes, no, or maybe, that is misleading, because
We have no
if someone
choice.
says
There's
no.
no choice.
Yeah, so
So I
that's
take that right
confusing.
out.
I don't think people
What
give you
was
the
the
option.
answer?
I don't think
Yes,
these
no, yes,
surveys,
no, maybe.
these surveys don't go like public, I don't think every resident in the town sees the outcome, do they? It's just for you guys to
I
gather
know, but
information, so
we're
you
gonna
can
get-
more
should they be
effectively
able to,
write the
you know,
plan.
Why,
It's
why
not like
wouldn't,
someone's gonna say, okay, it was, 47 to 18.
why wouldn't the townspeople be allowed to see the results?
I don't know that they ever have. I'm not saying
We
they
can't
can't,
find
but I just don't know that they ever have.
Wouldn't you want the townspeople to see the results?
I'm all for transparency. I'm all for transparency.
Yeah, but you guys all been entrusted to write the town plan, you've been voted in or appointed by the townspeople.
Right, if someone
So
asks
it's
for
your
it,
information for you guys to gather what you're putting into this plan.
right.
Right,
It's not, I mean, you're gonna have 80 different opinions on one topic. So
exactly.
it's gonna be impossible to say, okay, you won, you lost, or anything like that. It's just information gathering mostly for you guys.
Right.
Not for the town necessarily.
Right.
And typically at the end of, when we finish the community engagement process, we usually do a public presentation at a planning commission meeting to share the general results of the engagement. We're not, it's anonymized, obviously, we're talking about like how many survey responses, and we'll highlight some of the themes. And then oftentimes, or recently, what we've been doing in some of the municipal plans that we've helped work with, we've included the results in a like appendix at the end of the plan. So, yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah,
further down the line
leaves-
that we can talk about.
Before it leaves
but-
this room, we have a public hearing. And I think Jim spoke at that one,
Oh, the plan.
You talk
Yeah.
about the town plan.
the town plan.
Is this something that's gonna happen in the gym, like a town meeting?
No,
You'll
they'll
have to get
do
four
a
people
Huh?
public,
You'll get 4 people.
yeah, 3-4 people will come in here and ask their questions and be gone, and that will be the end of our public hearing, and it will go to the select board.
I was hoping for 50.
I mean, you're gonna be unpleasantly surprised, maybe I'm wrong, but in years past, you're gonna put, 2 years of work into a lot of these things, and you're gonna get 3 people to show up,
Yeah,
and that's it.
and then the other 800 just,
They don't
Can't
come,
be
they come
bothered.
down after it's voted in, right? It's all been approved and here's the seal, and then they
But
read it.
Yeah, but those 800 people have lived here for quite a while, and they want, like you've been here for a long time, and so you want things a certain way. And they're entrusting us to do things a certain way, so I'm assuming they're okay with what we're doing.
well, I mean, we need to know
They are.
what they think is
Well, that would
important.
be the survey
I
part.
mean, there's
Get it.
change in the air, you haven't smelt it yet.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Deb.
I can smell the state taking
What?
over
You wanna
the
say
town.
something?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying, I mean, it's extremely important, the town plan. And we witnessed it with that wind turbine
Yes.
thing, and it saved, I think it saved
Yes,
us.
it did.
So, the details, we think, oh, it's just, oh, la, 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 the town plan, we want this and we want that, but really, it's got teeth.
And the language has to be precise.
The language has to be very precise, so the town survey is nice, but I can't see that it's going to be
Be all end all.
the all and all.
It just helps you guys gauge
Yeah.
the environment, and
Yeah.
what is it generally that people want. You're gonna
Exactly.
find they don't want many different things than what they wanted the last
We
time.
can't do any different things.
Right.
So to go back, so are there any questions in the 2011, 2019 survey, specifically that you wanted to see that didn't make it into this draft version that we should incorporate?
There was the part about the commercial land uses being limited to new zoning in the center of town, that was gotten rid of. And about the,
Do you remember what number that was on that survey?
4,
Okay.
B and D I'm looking at.
Okay.
B is about the, more open space with like larger acre requirements.
Mhm.
I think I'd like to see that personally back in there.
Okay, so that's number 4.
4B is the thing about more acreage.
Okay.
And D is about the commercial land being limited to the center. Yeah, and E is open space preservation important, land use objective, that.
Which is, when you're talking about redistricting and stuff, then you have to go through, that is part of it in the bylaws,
Right.
when you redistrict.
Which this will help us for that too.
Yeah.
I don't see why we can't use the survey to help.
No, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
but the commercial zoning, we
And
don't
then,
have a commercial zoning, which we could.
And
we
then
could put one
5A,
sentence.
5A was, how important do you consider each of these natural resources, rate from 1 to 5? Agricultural, forestry, ponds, wetlands, fresh, fish and wildlife resources. I thought that was.
Groundwater.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I circled a lot of
We
these.
all have wells.
Lisa, you sent
I sent this to everyone, yeah.
I don't have a printer right now.
Oh,
It's really
sorry.
bugging me.
No, I do,
And then should the town, so be all under, I have all of 5, A, B, and C circled. Should the town develop regulations to protect, scenic views, historic buildings, water resources, prime agriculture and forest land? I mean, all these got cut and I just feel like they're really important.
Yeah. Love it. I have those.
I'd be interested to see if people are people paying for
And
scenic
then-
views here in Stamford?
100, what do you
Think
mean
about
pay?
that.
Wait, what do you mean pay
So-
for? What do you
so-
mean by that?
Well, people pay an extra tax for their scenic view for the state, right?
So my only
No.
comment on that is when they say $1 million views.
Yeah.
That is real. That is absolutely real. I mean, Deb, you advertise a house, you show a picture of an incredible view, and people will just flock
Yes.
from all over the
So there
country
was-
to get that view.
On the other end of it, there was a couple of people I met when I was first become AO up in Applewall.
Mhm.
And they had to pay a view tax.
What are you
Ah.
talking about?
What?
What are you talking about?
He was telling me that they had to pay a view tax. Look at this view, and
I
that's,
never
I never heard
I
anything
I
from it.
know of
I
no
never
view
heard
tax.
of-
I'm on the Alphabet board, we don't
Okay,
do that.
alright.
But,
That makes sense to me now.
but
Their appraisal.
value to
Value.
property,
Oh, I-
real
yeah.
value
Yeah.
is,
Right,
that is real.
and I said, and I asked him, did you actually have to pay extra money on
It's
your
only
taxes? And he said, yes.
No. All right, the other thing I thought was, under 8, C, D, and E all have to do with the school and education. And it was if we wanted to look into, how satisfied are you with the education the children are getting? If we want to look into, joining with other communities. I feel like we still need that answer today.
Okay.
So if we could include that, do we all think that too?
That's
important.
happening
It's
now.
always right there.
Yeah, yeah.
That's already
That feels like
happening.
school board.
Yeah, I think like the main, well, we were looking at things to cut, cause again,
We
we
cut that, honestly.
We by doing that.
In the town plan.
that was our main rationale.
Yeah.
Not because it's not a valuable question to ask, but
Right.
because, but it's your survey, so.
Well, what does anyone else think?
I think that the town politics has absolutely nothing to do with the educational side of it. Period.
The town plan, you mean?
No, what that board over there does in the school, we have no control over whatsoever. None, zero.
Right.
But the school is very important to things such.
Oh,
I mean, it's
absolutely.
incredibly important to
Absolutely.
property values. I mean, like,
Totally.
the number one thing to property
The
values.
point is if you put something in and you ask a question and
Is
you
there
get
a chapter
overwhelmed,
on
there's
schools
nothing
in
you
your
can
town
do.
plan?
What's
I'm
that?
sorry?
Is there a chapter on schools in the town plan?
You do have to talk about education,
Yeah,
even if it's kind of outside of your.
even though if you have
Let's see.
absolutely nothing to do.
Well, people,
Say
prospective
about
people
it or
coming
not.
to the town, potentially may read the plan and see if they wanna invest in property in the town, and they may wanna know what the school is.
It could,
If you just keep it
I know it's
basic, like
getting
small
long.
rural school, whatever.
yeah, I think it's.
Do you appreciate a small rural school or not?
I know right now,
In
One
the town
question.
plan, the recent town plan, which was 2017, but revised 2019. Education is part of chapter 9, which is community facilities and service, which is water supply, solid waste, emergency services, education, library, childcare, healthcare, so
Can you
it's
turn to that
small.
page, Margaret?
Yes.
I think we had to revise it in 19 because of the whole, Limo thing, we wanted
The
to
energy-
make this.
The energy plan?
the energy plan had to be put in.
Oh, there was also a question there, thank you, Kurt.
Yeah, we kept in some questions.
Number 9B, is a commercial wind energy installation an appropriate use of mountain ridge lines in Stamford? And that was removed. And then in here you just have, would you support commercial wind turbines? But this question about being on the ridge line, I don't know, I just want to bring it up to the board.
I'd say asked and answered, we've been through that.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
not a viable option for
That
our
was our
town.
thought too,
Okay.
is like, it seemed like that was a very clear no, but again,
I'm just bringing it up because
yeah.
it stood out to
The
me.
answer to the last question may be why it was Act something, I forget what the Act number was.
181.
To designate, so we had a seat at the table, so we could say where we
Oh.
wanted to place windmills.
Right, that was in the energy plan,
So
so
the
that's where
answer
it
to
was.
that helped us resolve that.
Mm.
Oh,
I mean, if
They
if you
said,
wanted to say like, the last plan update included this, I guess if you wanted to like sort of revisit it or.
No, I
introduce
think
it, but
like
if
somebody
you
said
feel-
asked and answered, and that makes sense. What you just
I
said.
mean, it's gonna, everyone's probably, the majority of
Yeah.
people are gonna say no. And
So
so you
we
say
already
something
know.
like, well, okay, what if the town can generate $500,000 from these windmills, right? And you might get a lot more people that say yes. But if you don't have any figures and numbers and what windmills might amount to, or where they might be placed, most people are probably gonna say no.
well, and then I just
Yeah.
feel like you're opening up a really divisive, you know, I mean,
Sure.
remember when we went through with that one windmill? I mean, it was a lot. So I feel like a sentiment has been expressed. I have to let prove it at home. Yes, you do. However, you know, solar, which isn't, you know,
There was
which
a
is.
question about that, where they just put windmills and solar and biomass.
Yeah, in some
Somewhere in here.
cases, we tried to we took some
24.
inspiration from like the previous survey and tried to aggregate
Number
it
24.
a little bit,
Yeah.
so,
It includes some space about where would this be appropriate, if you think it's appropriate in Stamford, where, and if you don't think it's appropriate,
yeah.
then
You didn't check, yeah. So, in a lot of ways, I think we were trying to like incorporate,
Yeah, so
Sort of
you
the
do have where
spirit
you
is
think
some-
that would be appropriate, yeah.
yeah, and if, if people didn't check, then then we know they're not in favor of any of them, you know.
That's true, okay, that's fair.
So, yeah, I mean, with the survey generally, like, it's a trade-off between, like, there's a lot more that we could ask that you probably would wanna know. And I guess the question for you is just, like, how important to you is it that the survey is, like, a reasonable length, I guess, is the,
I
question.
think a reasonable length is smart, because if it's too long, people are just gonna
Yeah.
not do it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, in the beginning, you may wanna have that highlighted, saying, you don't have to fill out the whole thing.
yeah,
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 Don't feel like this, every single question has to be
yeah,
answered, right?
you know.
it's not the SATs.
No, no, we're not rated.
Fill
The
in,
name is not going.
fill in what's important to you.
Yeah.
just keep in mind that there is a commercial solar system here in town.
So question,
Regents. I know, which is it benefiting us?
No, it's benefiting a town in northern Vermont.
Yeah. What's up with that?
Just how it goes in.
So that when you get involved with commercial solar systems, people, if you're a contractor, you sell that power before you ever make it. So towns like us would say to this builder or this construction person, we need 50 megs for the town of Stamford. They could put that thing in Canada and we get the power from it. We wanna pay for it, that's the way it is. It's a lot cheaper from them than it is the electric company. So John, that system there is only a fifth of what it was supposed to be, but he had wetlands. And so that was going up to my farm. And so John had mentioned it. I heard him mention one day that he was looking for a solar and everybody keeps denying him. So anyways,
Are there any other questions from the 2011 survey that you wanted to see in there, or any questions in this draft that we shared that you found confusing or that maybe you would want to see taken out for any reason?
Well, should we just like quickly run through
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
draft? Because I too had recoiled at the idea of box
Yeah, anyway, I circled that myself.
Well, in general.
Yeah, I get, that's sort of the anticipated reaction. We don't have to keep it in. It was more like, if there's a resounding no, that's a really strong place to go from to say,
Alright, that's good.
90% of respondents do not want to see this in Stamford in any way, shape, or form.
Must have been final survey.
How about public transportation? I mean, since we're not gonna have public transportation in Stamford, it seems to me that you could just, if you wanna make it shorter,
Yep,
kick that one out.
Well, let's start at the beginning, shall we?
yes.
For question 2, I was wondering if we could just have that as a ranking system, as you have,
Oh, sure, yeah,
you have
yeah.
ranking somewhere else.
Mhm.
I thought maybe if we could have that as a 1 through 5 also.
Yeah.
Cause I felt like I couldn't pick 3, I was like trying to pretend I was doing
I
something,
know.
and I couldn't pick
Yeah.
3, so if I could rank it.
Yeah, I was curious about, just the fact that, you know, sometimes you have 2 options, sometimes you have 3 options, sometimes you have only 1 option.
Yeah, like your top
It could be,
concern.
yeah.
Your top concern,
I-
yeah.
I would
mean,
have to leave that blank, cause I
Yeah,
got more than
so
one.
again, maybe, you know, maybe it should always be ranked, you know,
Mhm.
you're number 1, you're number 2, you're number 3.
Yes.
Mhm.
I like that.
Okay.
It just, it makes it gives you a little more freedom as a respondent.
But when you get to question 3, what is your top concern for Stanford? Do you wanna make that a ranking also?
Yeah, that's, I think
Yeah.
what we were talking.
Yeah.
And you wanna put school in there, cause school's not in there, number 3.
Oh, okay. I think this one's from the 2011.
Yeah, I think you're right, school should go in number 3.
Okay.
Okay, then number 4 in general, do you agree or disagree? That's fine, because people have 4 different choices. Number 5, which statement most accurately describes your vision? Circle.
Oh, wait, I thought, are we gonna do ranking for 4? I had that as ranking.
Well, it's agree, disagree.
I wrote that, let's see why I wrote that. Yeah, I guess that would be that, yeah, you're right.
Okay, then 5, which statement most accurately describes your vision? Circle 1.
This is based, I think, on one from the 2011 survey that we liked, I wanted to pull in. And then, of course, there's an option at that, if you don't like any of those 3 options, you
I
can
think
write
that's
your
good.
own.
I like 5. 5 works
Yeah.
for me.
Okay,
Yeah.
I had a little question about 5.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It felt a little, like, the first option didn't talk about natural resources.
Oh, yeah, we can
Um,
add that in.
It doesn't, have protection with minimal growth, like I'd like the first bullet to be
Yeah,
about
okay.
protection with minimal growth.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, like the way it's mentioned in the second.
Yes, please, thank you.
And do you want it in the third one also mentioned in some way?
I feel like if you leave it out, then we'll know that people don't care about protecting it, I don't know. What do you, I don't know, what's everybody else think?
I like putting it in the third one.
But then we're automatically assuming you want protections, or you want protections, like there's no one that doesn't.
You're right, you're also no protection.
Don't protect anything.
Is this number 5 you're looking at?
Yes.
So, where did this question come from?
There's a version in the 2011 survey, and then we just sort of.
So I'm looking down here at number 3 where it says Stamford will experience very few changes with no change in population and little to no new development, but the closing of the local school.
Right.
That is so many things.
So I feel like that's I feel like that is a question that is trying to get at a specific answer.
Like
It feels like you're trying, like you just forced that closing of the school in there
Right.
at the very end. It doesn't feel
Should we
right. That
just
question
lose
does not
school?
feel right.
If we lost school, would that make it an appropriate question?
Well, also with no changes in population. I'm sorry, people
that's-
are born and people
Well,
die.
that's one of the options, Marta, the other one's growth, you can pick.
I know, but you could also say Stamford will experience very few changes.
That's what it does say.
That's the first.
But then to add on to that, with no change in population and little to
How
no
about
new
little
development.
change to population or development, you know, just put the little. to
Cause
the
you're
development.
assuming that if Stamford experiences very few changes with no change in population and little to no development, what you're saying is, oh, well, that means the school's gonna
Right.
close. That is,
Altogether.
I don't understand why that.
there's something about that sentence that it feels like you're trying to,
Yeah,
Well-
if you don't change, if you don't develop more, you're not gonna have school.
Exactly.
that's what it
It's fine.
feels like to me when
Yeah,
I read that.
I agree.
yeah, that's kind of a dig.
So it can't say no changes in population, it should actually little change in population.
Yes. And then just take out that but, the closing of the local school.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should go.
Because that, again, that's not entirely our decision as we make policy.
Yeah.
It has to do,
I mean, what's to
That's
stop them from saying, in the local store, you know, in the local lumber yard, and it's kind of stupid. They just cross that right off.
okay, but so with little change in population, take out the no. And little to no, I think you just do and little new development.
Okay.
Because, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, anything that's a statement that's always or
So
never
a little-
is necessarily false,
Mhm.
right? And this has that model.
So it should just say Stamford will experience very few changes, very few changes in population and development. That can become one sentence.
Oh,
So it's a little convoluted now.
Will experience very few changes in population and little new development. Is that what you're suggesting?
Stamford will experience very few changes, little.
very few
Oh, I see what
changes.
you're saying, yeah.
There could be
awkward
very
now.
few changes in population, you could just take out that
I'm
little
English
phrase.
teacher nerd, sorry, Jen.
Stanford will experience very few changes in population
And
And-
development.
and little new development.
I think
So
we could
is the
say-
reason that was put in there, it kind of contradicts the number one?
Yeah,
It really is the.
Yeah,
the question.
With little change in population or development, or new development, right?
with little change in population or new development, I like that.
Stamford
Yeah,
will
does it
experience-
feel-
Do we even need it then, the whole thing?
Yes, because we need the contradiction to the other two.
Well, you don't, because it's almost saying the same thing as number one now, right?
Well, one is
Small
small
changes.
changes, yeah. Some new development, so it's none, some, or a lot, kind of.
Well, it's some,
More.
a lot, and none.
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
I say it wrong?
Is it?
No, you did say it right.
Does that feel distinctive?
Yes,
Okay,
I
great.
think so. I mean, you may wanna order them
Oh,
differently.
sure, yeah. that's
Yeah,
fine.
I would go, yeah, from low to high or whatever.
We decide not to put closing at the local
Yeah, we're
school.
striking that
it's
out. Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then write your own vision here is helpful,
Mhm.
right? 'Cause, you know, there's gradations between those.
Mhm.
Okay, land use.
I think this is almost directly from the 2011
Mhm.
survey. I don't know that we
That seems fine to me.
changed
Seems
it
fine
at
to
all.
me.
Yeah.
Now we're on to the dreaded seven.
Now it's,
Yeah.
You can do.
I mean, am I the
Only
only
if they fit
one?
with the character Stanford.
All right, characters, big box store selling chickens, I mean, Tractor Supply.
That's the one we could have.
I mean, am I the only one that is like takeout box stores?
Yeah,
Both
so
of them?
Couldn't even
No, I
imagine
No,
how
right
that would
there.
work.
For circle.
We don't
That's a
have
franchise
the
thing to me.
infrastructure
Say,
for
I
a
know.
you
box
say
store.
box store, I see a drugstore, a CVS, you know, a box store, Dollar
Oh, yeah.
General.
Oh, it might be Dollar General.
Yeah,
what I'm thinking.
yeah, I think that's how.
Take
it
it out.
comes
We don't
about.
want it.
Big box.
Okay, that's how it
Box.
came about, was not because we want a box store in Stamford either, but because we just have other communities that don't want them, and ask a version of this
Yeah,
question.
we
To
don't
make
want it.
sure, so
We're
we
not-
can say nobody wanted it.
Yeah. Well, we'll take that.
We're not in the area where they would wanna come into anyways.
Yeah, there's no way, I mean,
Well, what's a box
the Act
store?
250 to put in a parking lot
CVS,
and it just, it
That's
wouldn't
not
have
a
it.
box store.
So it's more of like a
Square.
BJ's
Like
or
a Dollar
a
General.
Dollar
So
General.
is that a
anything
box
that
store
comes in
BJ's
a
is
box,
a big box?
they set it
I
up.
guess
Yes.
It's a box. It's where
It's
all the
yeah,
fun-
like it's a discount.
A chain, like,
Yeah, like
Club.
I mean, the one in Pownell is just a box, like. I mean,
It's
yeah,
a box.
It's
Most of the
like.
money.
it's
Before
nice-
urban planning lost its way, everything became a box. The architects, right?
Okay, so the rest is 7.
What's the definition of residential scale renewable energy? What is the actual definition of that?
For
So-
example, Mike wants to put a wind turbine
Solar's on your roof.
property down there,
Yeah,
Who does?
Mike.
Yeah, definitions can vary depending on what like source you look at, but usually it's like for solar or even I guess for wind too, like less than 10 kilowatts of something. So it's like a solar array that would fit usually on your roof, or it would be like a small ground mounted that could be tucked somewhere, you know, easily screened and kind of tucked behind your property. I'm not too familiar with what a residential, I haven't really seen any like residential scale wind turbines.
Does Bill need
There
that
are.
one? Is
But,
that?
They
I mean,
have
I know
them.
they exist, I just haven't really seen very many
yeah,
of them,
they're coming
so-
out with the,
Bill Levine, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's usually like a smaller, you know, turbine that's just
yeah.
directly
Actually,
provides your
Stephanie was
on-site
looking into
power.
them for the barn,
All the farms used to have turbines.
absolutely,
And that's how you got the well.
The well,
Farm.
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
residential
ones.
scale is also just
Not
more
new
about like how the
technology.
power is utilized, so like the
Yeah.
power is being directly utilized by the property owner, which,
You know, I mean, honestly, for the people who, you know, I know people who just put solar on his roof and then it has been a disaster because it's not directly to him.
No,
Well, here's the large scale renewable energy generation again. Should
Yeah.
that be there? Is that the same as that question?
That is still under 7.
That's the other side of that.
It's number 24, kind of the same question as 24.
The large scale is
It's,
part of
I
the
guess
center,
it's
right? Just
it's similar, I guess it's like asking you to iterate a little bit more, like 24 is asking maybe a little bit more information. Like, you could check, you know, you can answer one way in 7 and then you can provide more.
where are you guys at now?
I'm just saying, looking at the old, no,
Oh.
this is the new one. I'm
Yeah.
saying 24,
Oh, I thought we were
to
talking
me,
about
seems
7.
the same as
Yeah.
large scale renewable
Oh, I
energy.
see.
That's that, they both asked about
Okay.
that, like, the
Yeah,
scale.
but-
Which is fine.
It's just kind of a more specific question, 24 is just kind of a more specific question.
Yeah.
Well, then should we,
The retail is there.
should we
don't
take
need
it
boxes.
out of there? And then leave it for this more specific question?
It can't have to have it there.
I'm talking about how in 7, it has all these things which you support, check all that apply,
Yeah.
right? But then there's a more detailed version of it as number 24. Okay,
Yeah.
And it has retail right there, Jim, so box
Yeah.
is different.
Philmont's is retail, once they get their liquor store open.
Are they going to?
I don't know, I saw that it was on the agenda.
Oh, I think every year it's just to renew it.
Sometimes have box stores, but they design them with the surrounding architecture.
Well, that's why we had it in 2 questions, like, maybe you just want it to look like
Right.
a barn.
Right, you
but-
want a Dunkin' Donuts that looks like a big red barn.
Right, right.
Well,
Well,
that
that's
would be
kind of
retail.
sort of what Manchester does
Yeah,
too.
they do that like over in
But it's no longer
Worthington
box.
and things, places like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But we don't have a lot of traffic like that, so.
no, we got north and south and that's it.
yeah. Okay,
Housing.
housing. What is your principal concern related to your personal housing? Check 1.
I think this was from 2011 as well.
I think that's fine.
Let me look at it.
Just property
Just give me
taxes.
another second. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this might be another thing we might wanna do on a 1 to 5? Because you could have a problem with property taxes and also finding an affordable house to buy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay, so, right, or we.
How about 1 through
utilities?
Yeah,
could
1
also
through
be an
3.
issue.
Just how about 1
Okay.
through 3?
Okay.
Because otherwise
Like top-
everything is
top
on
three.
there.
Top 3.
Top 3,
Okay.
okay. Do you think current housing options in Stamford are meeting the needs of residents in the area? Yes or no?
That's one I
That's
love.
pretty straightforward. Should the town, okay, here we go.
Yeah, I think we
Okay.
talked about this.
Okay.
This, I have, we could just remove
We can
this,
just
we
take
can
it
just
out.
remove this question.
Number 10?
Well, let's look at.
Well, no, I think you need to,
What's the question?
so the question, sorry, the question is, should the
Don't tell
town
Kurt.
enable, don't tell Kurt.
It'll take up the rest of
Should
the
the,
line.
should the town enable more attainable housing? Some types of housing that can be integrated into existing communities are less well known. These include, okay, so number 1 is ADUs, which are separate living units created within or adjacent to single-family housing. Now, that is already a given in the law that people can do that.
Absolutely.
So I think that should be eliminated.
It's,
I mean, it's informational.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
can come out in the community visioning thing of like, oh, you know.
But in that case, infill housing will also be allowed, right?
what do you mean infill? What's infill housing?
You backfill spaces that are already occupied, like this lot right over here.
Side
Will that be,
yard,
will that come
backyard.
down to the state to decide that?
No, not if there's enough acres there.
Yeah, you could,
We can.
I guess the thinking was that, like, even though ADUs are allowed, like, if there's just wild enthusiasm for them, then the bylaws could be updated to make it even easier to build them, or like, easier to build the infill sort of side yard housing.
So that's what the state's been trying to do, get us to change our bylaws
So that makes it.
so that things can easierly, you know.
To preserve open space and confine everyone to those districts, it's basically a medieval process of developing neighborhoods.
Absolutely,
Everything's in the
absolutely.
center and all
The
the
nice way of
resources.
saying it.
Yeah, I mean, it's as old as dirt, the philosophy of doing it like that,
But there is
just at a bigger scale.
There is this question about mixed-use development, which, you know, many people in town may be all for that. For instance, if you had, well, I mean, look at.
Belmont's had an apartment over the top of it.
Right, Krista Fellini's place there could have like a store in the bottom and it could have an apartment up top. Like, I don't know if that's allowed in our zoning right now. To
I don't
have
think
it.
it's in our bylaws.
It's, you can have a business, a home business in our bylaws.
That's different though.
That's
I would not call that a home business.
I think we
What would
need
you
to
call
keep
it?
that in there.
Cause a home business is just something that you do in your home
You,
that does not change the
Give
character
haircuts.
at all of the.
haircuts in
Okay,
your
so
kitchen.
when that comes around to the bylaws, then we'll need to rewrite it to say those kind of words in it.
I
right
think
now it
does say
says-
that. It should say that.
I mean,
You can't.
for or against.
In other words, you can't put out signs and, you know,
Yes,
all
you
of
can
that
have a
stuff
sign.
according to the
You can have a
bylaws.
sign.
You can have
Am I right, Dad? When it comes to that?
You can have a sign, but the whole
Never
point.
wrote the
No.
sign
I love
bylaws.
the sign
Wait a
bylaws.
minute, hold on. You're changing, if it's your house, and you wanna put a store in there or something, a clothing store in your basement,
Oh, that-
or, you know, a country store
You
and you're
have to,
downstairs.
you have to get a zoning permit for something like that, so it doesn't change the character of the neighborhood, you know, traffic and all of that. But you can put a sign.
I mean, a
Look at
home
Alpha
business
Arbor.
is like, I carve things in my house, I carve things in my house, which I then produce for sale.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it in my house, no one around me knows that it's going on,
Right.
except for maybe a little sign, but you're not changing the character of the neighborhood.
Mixed-use development is like a traditional downtown area.
Yeah.
Like a Wilmington downtown.
Right.
I mean, it would have to, I mean, what you're talking about, if you wanna have a little store with an apartment above,
Right.
it would have to go through the planning commission.
It would have to go through all that. Right,
Absolutely,
absolutely.
yeah.
Which is something we should keep in mind then with the bylaws.
Yeah.
It's-
Right now, we're
it's
just
pretty
talking
well
about this
spelled out.
survey.
For that, for mixed use.
Thank you.
But that's one of the questions in the survey, should you leave that in to let people
People probably
comment
won't
on it or no, or do you
understand,
wanna just eliminate the whole question?
they probably really won't understand what mixed-use development is. You know,
I
There's
agree.
gonna be a majority of people in town that think it has something to do with race.
Well, it's defined here.
So, well, I'm just saying.
But it is.
That's a true story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a true story.
You got,
No.
one Brian,
That's
that's your head.
What?
I didn't know if you're in the dark.
Oh, yeah, it is
Yeah, like,
terrible.
oh, I wonder why.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it, there's a light.
Oh,
I'm getting a little tired there.
Yeah, do not touch. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all right, get ready to close your eyes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
I just woke up. I don't think the question hurts
So-
to have it in there to ask if people want mixed-use development.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
So maybe
But what do you-
just focus.
What do you all think about including ADUs in there?
It can't hurt at this point to get information.
I'm just,
Okay,
That's my opinion.
I mean, because there is an asterisk. As per state law, ADUs
Yes.
must be allowed, so it is
Right.
informational in
Yeah.
that way.
What
Just
about
wondering-
just putting that asterisk in the no and maybe?
Well,
Or like across it, of like, it's not an option. like-
Right, but
Because
let's say, would
there-
you be interested in having more of these types of housing, which I think is what you were getting at, Sandra.
Yeah, I think it's not written clearly right now, but maybe if it were rephrased as like,
I think it
yeah, just having more of
That
this.
more, I almost missed that more right there.
I think it'd be beneficial to educate people on it, however you can do that, because there's total misunderstanding that whether it's allowed or not, people
Right.
just don't get it.
Right.
Yes, good point.
Yes.
So maybe
Right.
an opportunity just to let people
Yeah.
it sounds like an
Sam said at the
opportunity for the
beginning.
AO.
Maybe we just take a while to get around to it.
We agree. Again, though,
We're volunteers.
ADUs must be allowed, but you don't have the septic capacity for it.
Well, we don't have a choice, so.
Oh, you cannot just go bunk in an
Well, I know,
ADU. If
I
you've
know.
got a one-bedroom septic,
But that's not your cost, it's the
I think it
state.
says it right in, yeah, it says it right
But we
in.
can
the
Right,
add-
you have to get a state,
waiver for it then.
Well, I
Not
think you have to
waiver,
get a
they-
state
they'll give you a
septic,
permit.
You have to
You
septic,
got the
septic.
you have to.
they,
Yeah,
you
and
call them on
so
the
important.
phone, I did it, you call them on the phone, they ask you what the capacity of your septic system is.
Mhm.
You tell them what
Way
they,
better.
and then they'll come out, they'll look at it, or they will just say, okay, you're all set, when did you purchase it? When did you have a Title V done? Boom, done.
Well, we can see how wrong that might
Wow.
go.
But you're only allowed one,
Yeah,
and
you
you
can only
can't
have
have four of them.
you can only have one.
One
And you guys
ADU.
could mess around with the square footage of it, but you guys got it at like, I don't know, 400 square
Well,
feet.
300.
we should, let's stick with.
Oh, my.
But we'll get to
my-
that in our
My
bylaws. Let's keep
apartment,
going.
there's a garage, yeah, it's got a toilet in there and
There you
I
go.
work on my car next door.
Okay, number 11, how do you feel about short-term rentals?
It's fine, it's just a statement.
Yep, agreed. Do you agree that there are enough opportunities to find a job within Stamford, within neighboring town, within 30-minute drive? That's straightforward.
Yep.
Natural historic, what do you consider to be the town's most important natural resource, historic resource, scenic resource?
Why is that there?
I think it was from the 2011
Mm.
survey, I think, and we disliked it and,
I think this is a good time to piggyback on the no windmills on.
Right, I read your mind.
I know you did.
Oh,
So-
like use it to supplement that?
yeah.
It's just another way of saying, look, we don't want anything in our view right there.
Right.
Like
Well,
the
that
mountains.
would be scenic resource.
Like the mountains,
It's true.
Yeah,
What's that?
like
and
the
then
mountains.
we'll add all the other questions to this section.
Okay,
From the
thank you.
21.
Great.
Warren Valley.
Okay, transportation and mobility. Do you feel that local roads and the state highway, Route 8, are well maintained in Stamford? I mean, we don't have any control over Route 8,
Right.
so,
Just focus on
Do we want to just do local roads? Because we don't take care of the state highways?
yeah, it's not our, it doesn't fall under our
Yeah.
jurisdiction.
That's good.
Do you feel that facilities for pedestrians and bicycles are safe and adequate in Stamford? That's straightforward. should bike paths, bike lanes, paths and sidewalks be built throughout, again, asked and answered.
Well, we,
No,
in
not really.
2011, it said,
Really
it said, what's, let me say. It said something about, is there adequate, it said, is there adequate, like, do you think there are adequate bike lanes? So now the question is, should there be some built?
Okay, yes,
So
no,
it changed
no,
from,
no.
is it do we have adequate sidewalks and paths and stuff to, do we wanna build some? The question just changed and I wasn't sure why.
That's from the previous survey?
Yeah, the first survey just asked if we have adequate of those things.
Those are three different questions that's actually asking. Bike lanes is one, paths is
That's
one,
true.
sidewalks is one, so you're just kind of clumping this up.
Pedestrian movement.
So you don't really get a good answer because
But you could
it's
say
so
yes.
muddled up.
You could say that, no, we don't have any bike lanes, but yes, we have
We don't have
paths.
box
Yeah.
I mean, people have been complaining since I've lived here about the lack of sidewalks in Stamford. I mean, I've been hearing that for 40 years now, that
So
we should
just
have
bullet it out
sidewalks.
maybe, so you can answer each one, sidewalk.
Yeah,
Yeah, should there be, bike
Or
A, bike
go
lane,
back
B,
to adequate,
paths.
we could ask, is there adequate sidewalks? Paths, the old one was adequate, I thought that one.
Oh,
Like, now there's, 15 is kind of like that adequate one, and then 16 is more like,
Oh, right,
do you, like, more like, do you think there should be more? Or,
right.
and maybe 15 is already answering that.
Yeah, maybe 16 is duplicative.
Yes.
but-
Sorry, I was missing 15.
No, they're, I think they're redundant.
Mm.
We'll take out 16 and focus on.
okay, 17, should some form of public transportation be provided in Stamford?
I don't think that's it either.
Box store, I mean, right?
Taxi.
It's just
For
not,
business turnaround.
it's just not,
I
it's
know.
impossible. So I think, am I right?
I'd say lose it.
Yeah.
Lose it?
lose
I mean, does the mover come from here? I don't know.
The mover, what's that?
Yes, I asked you if they're.
The black-
No, it
doesn't.
No. I think it does go to Reedsboro.
They don't even right away.
Brattleboro, Bennington, Somerset.
Yeah, it's not the mountain, I don't see
It does
what
not
goes
come to
down
Stamford.
here on the flats.
Go to Reedsboro.
You do know that we are the middle finger of Massachusetts. We have no services here.
Yeah,
Or
that's true.
isolated. The whole
Yeah, we
reason the
are.
train never came in.
Right. Okay, how often do you walk to destinations within town, and what influences your decision? I mean,
That seems like another question that could just be eliminated if you're trying to eliminate.
I agree,
Questions.
because honestly, I walk 3 times a day, because I have a dog.
But you're not walking
But
to
it's never to a
destination.
well, it could be,
To a rock.
I could be going to Barbara's house. I
It's
could
not
be going to,
like,
right,
like
Right.
Belmont.
and what, yeah, how many people could even walk to Belmont's? So I say we eliminate.
You either do or you
it.
don't, I guess.
Okay, community facilities and service, how satisfied are you with the following public services in Stamford? For services that are not provided directly by the town, rate your experience accessing these things.
Yeah, that's a little cumbersome, because like you get to medical, and what does that have to do with our town? I wasn't sure.
I guess like kind of in the same vein that there's an education section in the plan. Sometimes plans just include references to local facilities, like local medical facilities. And it can be helpful if you have a little bit of information on kind of how easy it is for people to get to those places.
From
but-
here to like North
But
Part
Avenue.
of your plan,
but that's-
part of your plan is marketing the town, right? Because prospective people are gonna read this plan, and they're gonna see, well, how far is it to the hospital? Is there a local school? Why would I wanna move to Stamford, right? Is there
Aren't
any of
those
these-
questions they're gonna ask the realtor? I mean, do
Maybe.
people really?
No,
wanna-
you know what, I don't wanna go down too much of a rabbit hole, but here's what you're gonna see very soon, within months. People are just going to speak into AI platforms, and you're gonna say, I want this, 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 and those AI platforms are going to then just
Tell
spit
you
out
what it
this
is.
information.
Like I want a small town with a school.
Yeah, I mean, some of these questions are designed for that, the people that live here already know it takes them 45 minutes to get to the hospital.
Yeah, right.
They know that already. But I don't know, it's up to you guys, but.
What do you think we need for the town plan? Also, police production, right.
Although there was something on that for the last,
Lack of.
Well, yeah, and like maybe that would be good to get confirmed, or maybe if it's
Okay.
asked and answered, like some of
Yes.
these other questions, we can just take it
no, the
out.
police presence is always like a big.
It is a
It
question.
came up on the last advocacy chat, but you called me, so I missed that, so I have to go back and watch, because they have something new they were talking about for small towns, but it didn't.
Everybody wants police protection, but they don't wanna pay
Pay
$90,000
for it, right, so they
a
were coming
year
up
to
with
have them
something
here
new,
for 2
exactly,
hours on
that's the
Wednesday.
word when I listened to the other
Exactly.
half of it. They're coming up with something new for small towns, because that's not
Well,
nothing.
you know, we have volunteer fire department.
Volunteer cops, Jim?
Vigilante justice.
There's so much training. you know.
Too much liability and certifications.
Just joking.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
There's ways to go about it, and I explained it to them, but nobody wants it.
So, okay, on this list, fire, police, solid waste, recycling, use of municipal school building, town clerk's office, medical services, library, road maintenance, local roads, road maintenance.
How would that be accessing, is road maintenance a service that we access?
Or provide.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
I
it's-
see what you
it's-
mean.
And it's gonna be, you know,
Maybe-
provide,
Should we break it up?
yeah,
into
because
two
there's some of
questions?
these things we do provide, and some of these things have to do with access. So, medical service, that's access. Police protection, that's access. State roads,
Right.
we don't provide that. I mean, emergency medical services, I guess we have 911.
Well, that's not local, we do with the fire department that will show, you know, our.
Yeah,
But do you think emergency medical would fall out of the purview of Stanford?
Yeah, not really.
I mean.
No, you pick up the,
And then the education one is both.
yeah. I mean, I take your point, Kurt, about creating a portrait for people. But I'm not sure how this question really does that.
Well, it really is two, it's what the towns provide,
Yes.
and if we're satisfied with that, and then your access to things, and if you're satisfied with your access to medical services. I feel like it's two different questions, actually, not to make it a bigger survey.
But also, Kurt, you're talking about marketing, the town plan marketing, the town, but the survey isn't a marketing thing.
But the surveys decide what you wanna put in the town plan.
Right, but it's
And the
what
town
ends
plan
up
is
in the
gonna write
final
it.
product of the town plan, which is what people
Yeah.
are going to have access to.
And then the town plan's gonna help you write the bylaws, right? Like if everyone says they want more development, then you're gonna have to do something about it.
well, I think in principle, that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're preparing to write the bylaws.
The plan is like it's something, but it's
Right.
not like you're gonna follow it to the letter of the law. Or the letter of the plan, it's just a platform.
I mean, maybe if we just made two different columns
Yeah.
and separated.
Yeah,
like, one
Yeah,
is
we can break it up by what the town
Just so we
provides
be
versus
clear
what people access that's
visually.
not provided.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is then kind of reiterated, or they're given a chance to kind of hone in on 20.
Right.
When it says, how do you feel existing community facilities and services could be improved, and what new facilities and services are needed?
I think that's good.
Yeah,
That's a good
that to me gets more to the heart of the matter in a way.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
just asked quickly about, you sort of identified the ones that are not provided by the town, but just to be sure. I mean, the education you said is kind of both.
Right, because high school is out.
Yeah, so maybe you just put it in both.
Well, I think you could say in the things we provide is K through 8,
Okay,
and then you could
Right,
put
you could
secondary
Secondary, yeah.
school.
okay. And then senior services, does the town provide any?
Well, there's that movement class, there's the movement class for seniors at the center.
Do we have any seat besides church, like dinners and stuff? Do we really have?
There's
more.
The Stamford Community Church does a senior lunch once a month. So we have those two.
What else would come to mind
Also,
for
don't
senior
we-
service?
Don't we also have, don't we always,
Attending classes or community meetings or, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have any like rehab or anything like
Yeah.
that.
We
And that's
we
not
support
provided,
the
like,
organizations that
At
come
the
in.
community
That's
church, that's
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
provided directly by the town.
AAR,
That's-
yeah,
Yeah,
AARP.
so it's
What
still
is it?
something they're accessing, but.
There's something every year at town meeting where it's like,
Yeah.
there are
Like
$432 for these four
Yeah,
organizations.
Wheels on Meals and things.
Oh,
Those
Meals on
nurses.
Wheels,
That go,
Wheels on Meals, whatever.
that go cow,
Yeah.
that go burger.
That $1,400 gets more debate than that the other thing.
I know, isn't that
I know.
funny? But then someone always pipes up, because everyone's wanting an explanation, but, somebody always pipes up, oh, they helped my mom with hospice, or they, whatever. So we do have some,
Mm.
Okay, thank
but maybe people want more, I don't know.
Yeah. That's true.
Okay, 21, should the town conduct a study to assess the feasibility of developing a public water system,
Yeah,
a
it's
public
loaded.
supply water system for the center of town? Because it will cost taxpayers this amount of money, and I know there are, offers from the state to lend us the money that we could pay back by virtue of the incoming taxes collected, as revenue, but then we're just gonna owe all that to the state, the end.
And the feasibility study
Well,
is
they
not
say
free.
yes. They say yes, then you're open a whole bunch of box stores.
Right, but not without,
No.
water alone is not enough, cause then you gotta have sewer.
Well, they have water together.
Because I've always been told since I lived here that what we would get first would be water. That was the key to getting water, because if you get water, now all the septic systems are no longer an issue. I mean, they are an issue for the river, but they're not the issue that they are now if you have water.
Why?
Well, contamination,
Because you're getting your water,
E. coli.
you don't have to worry about your well being contaminated, because you're on public water.
And you're never gonna get the huge development that some people may want without a septic system. But you could have one or the other, you don't need both.
I don't think that's a bad
The
question to
problem,
ask.
the problem with the septic systems is that they're contaminating wells, right?
Right.
So if you had a public water supply, then you're no longer contaminating that water source.
How
You are.
feasible, okay, for the center of town, cause I was gonna say up the mountains.
How feasible, it's probably never gonna happen in our lifetime, but,
Then why?
you're never gonna get true development.
But one of the things that you would wanna be thinking about, which we should be thinking about, is our water resource. Is that at some point in time, where's our water? Where's the water for the town? And what do we need? Yeah, it actually might be here in the valley, right, in the Clough Road area.
My old house.
Your old house. can
There may be an aquifer actually in that area. I mean, so it's not a bad, I don't think we should not ask questions because we don't wanna hear what the answer is.
Well, there needs to be something in that says what kind of dollars are we talking about?
Well, I wouldn't know.
Or we could say,
Well,
should
it's
the
gonna be
town
a lot,
pay?
but
Yeah,
people aren't gonna know how much a lot is.
Like to make, if we said, instead of conduct, should the town pay for a study, at least it communicates it's not
There is-
free.
Right.
Yeah, that
That's way better,
Okay.
Yeah.
because otherwise it sounds like, oh, you're gonna get another one of these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the mail.
What was Reedsburg's
Yeah.
house?
Because the state can come in and say, hey, this is not cool what's going on with all these septic things and the wells, and guess what? You guys may not wanna do this, but you're gonna do it anyway, because I believe that's what happened in Reedsboro.
Is that what happened?
I think that's how Reedsboro got their system.
I'm so sorry that Lisa is out of the room right now, because she and I were talking about exactly this, and, yeah.
And when you mess around with acreage, you're gonna get into isolation zones and all kinds of different things like that, that you're gonna have to contend with.
What do you mean by isolation zones?
You gotta have enough space for the sewage and stuff to dissipate in the ground before it
Right.
can contact somebody's well.
Like overshadowing,
Yeah,
that.
overshadowing.
Yeah.
Right,
The whole village here is overshadowed already.
Yeah.
right,
Which, you know, most of this town was developed on 1 acre. You know, it was 1 acre till 2009, and when they changed it to 2 acres. For that, you know, that concern mostly.
Yeah, Alpenwald has a lot of those issues, like overshadowing.
Yeah, I mean, there's E. coli through all the village, probably every well in the village has E. coli to some extent.
Yeah.
It's all shallow wells, I mean, they're
Yeah.
30 feet deep.
and a lot of people have, purification, like reverse osmosis and
Mhm.
stuff like that to purify their
But we
water,
got filtration.
which
All
is
right.
another way to go.
Let's stay on task here. We're back on 22, right?
Yeah, so we're changing the language to, rather than should the town conduct, should the town pay for, or however you wanna word that.
Yeah, for a study.
Yeah,
Should let them pay for
That's
it.
good.
yeah,
So that it's clear.
it's not free.
Not
Okay, 22, do you have any concerns about the quantity or quality of water available from your current supply? Obvious. 23, should the town create a map of recreational trails and plan for appropriate use and access?
That's a little awkward, that wording, like what do we mean by plan for appropriate use?
I think that was a 2011 question, I think that we
One
kept
state
in.
You wanna what?
State park.
I guess like you could, I guess I see that as like, I don't know, like
Make rules, or what does that mean?
yeah, or like just sort of put more attention or resources towards
Oh, okay.
like other, but we could rephrase it to be more clear, like should the town.
We don't have legal trails and such, almost non-existent in the town, because we actually gave them all back. So it's not like the town has the ability to have, open up trails.
I mean, we have the Appalachian Trail.
That's right.
I
So
mean, there's potential for a trail system throughout town, but that would have to take the cooperation of a lot of different private
Right.
landowners.
But
Right.
this is asking if we wanna create a map, so that just probably go away.
There's nothing in that.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Nothing to map.
Okay.
Energy and flood resilience, which, if any of these commercial scale renewable energy generation facilities do you support?
I think we talked about this one a little bit already.
Yeah.
In that it kind of is like an opportunity to provide a little bit more detail to what you might have checked in question number 7. So I don't
That's a good question.
remember where we landed on it. Yeah,
I
so
mean, we
it's-
wanna know that,
Yeah.
sure.
25, have you dealt with flooding on your property in the past, yes or no?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Kurt, explain this to me, because I would answer yes. Read that, if yes.
If yes.
Where are you, Pam?
I'm on number 25.
So
where it
if
says
yes, was the
yes.
damage
We'll
caused
get to
by
that.
So would I be
inundation,
checking,
flooding?
I think I'd check yes to both of those questions,
Yes,
right?
yes,
I would?
yes.
Okay,
If you lose the
I wouldn't
riverbank, you got a little
Yeah,
below
right.
erosion.
okay.
If it just
Yeah,
goes over the
say
bank,
check all
then
the
that's inundation.
Right, I guess.
Yeah.
You
Check
don't
all
know-
that
yeah,
apply.
so people don't have to feel like they have to pick one or the other.
That's
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Inundation, I think, would be more.
Okay, and then
You're
demographic,
right.
that's all obvious.
Yeah, and all of those have a prefer not to answer option, and people can just not answer this one.
Or they'll just not answer it.
Yeah, well, it's funny, you put that on there, because I feel like sometimes if you don't, people are like, well, I want it, well, great, go do that.
I think it's good though, to say
Yeah.
prefer not to
Yeah.
answer, so that
Yeah.
people don't feel like they're
Yeah,
hiding
But you
something.
have
And
to
then,
say
yeah.
how long you've lived here.
Yeah.
You have to.
Oh, no. No, we'll fix that. I think we should, yeah.
I prefer not to tell you how long I've been.
So, next steps, we will take all of these notes and we will add in the questions we talked about from the 2011 survey and rephrase, and I think we've captured everything between the two of us, and get something, we'll just keep going with Lisa if that works.
Yeah.
And within shortly, I would say. And then also we can, come up with like a cover letter, if you will,
Yeah.
for, the mailing materials and share
And
that.
it will
as well.
announce the walking tour.
Yeah, that's the plan, it's like it'll talk about the different ways to do the survey, and the various different opportunities. Logistically, so are we asking people to return completed copies here to the town office, right, via
Via the Dropbox.
Dropbox, or if they, you know,
Just hand it in, yeah.
Can we just go back to number 4 again?
Yeah.
You have Stamford, another town, another park. Why did you say Rensselaer, Washington County, New York?
Oh, just because it's the counties to the west of us in New York.
Okay.
But we can just,
Yeah, the demographics. I'm just, okay. So you kind of drew a circle around it.
yeah, we do like this town and then county and then the neighboring counties, which would be, Berkshire. I know, the Rensselaer, Washington is your like immediate neighbor, but if you like think of a county-wide, it is the neighboring county on that side, so.
but we don't have to, that doesn't feel.
I mean, it could be Stamford, Bennington, another part of Vermont,
Or another,
and then just other.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Alright,
Why do we need to know what race people are?
It can just be a chance to sort of get a sense of who's responding to the survey.
Yeah, it's anonymous.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
people can
but-
always prefer not to answer,
Yeah,
either to
well, I
check
mean,
that
why
or
are
to
we
see
asking
money.
that question?
Why are we asking age?
Yeah, it's a standard demographics question that a lot of surveys ask. And yeah, it is just some helpful, age, gender, all that is just helpful to see.
Is gender on there?
You know if it is.
I didn't see it.
I don't know. Okay. But like at those types of demographic questions.
Sexual orientation.
Your favorite pizza flavor?
Yeah.
This is,
I can see
this
that.
is just a selection of
Yeah.
demographic questions that might just be helpful to, again, understand the reach of the survey.
alright, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where do you
want
find
the
the walking tour to
No,
start?
thank you for
Start
all
So
your
right here, that's wherever we're gonna end the
it
congregation.
needs to
Here,
okay.
at the center, one of the,
Yeah,
Okay.
probably, or the church.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we'll
There's parking.
chat with Kurt about, walking tour logistics and
Sure.
rely on your expertise,
Alright.
cause that would actually be good to put in the cover letter, I guess, too, is like where
Like
people
we
meet.
could include a map, perhaps, I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Huh.
people can see what they're getting into.
Yeah.
I would wanna know where I'm going.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a nice drive back.
thank you, have a good evening.
Thanks, take care.
Hopefully we weren't too tired.
Alright, back on track, we're gonna make this real quick here. Let's go with old business. I think what we should do is we should, forego the bylaw discussion tonight.
That was
We're a little bit too late.
Agreed.
The section
And,
2.
Section 2,
Yeah.
yeah. And we'll just basically make a point to go on to finish up section 2. As you can tell, the first part of section 2 anyways, it's all boilerplate
It is.
from state law.
Right.
Can't change that.
Are we staying out too then, or everybody wanna go home?
Yeah, we can go home.
Agreed.
The limitation.
Now,
Yeah.
if
Let's
you-
figure it
You're on
easy
section
to do
3
it.
now.
That's what my idea was.
At some point, we're gonna have to have a serious discussion about maybe doing 2 a month rather than 1. Cause this, yeah,
That's what
if
we
we're gonna
used
be
to do.
doing, that's the way
If
we
we're
did
gonna
it.
have them.
When we were doing the planning and the bylaws at the same time,
Mhm.
we did
It's
two
almost once
in the
a week.
beginning and then once a week.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna meet for a while.
Do we wanna do that now, move to that?
I would move to like the Monday or what would we do, second and fourth? And that way we'll keep it on rotation if everybody's okay with that, the second and fourth Monday.
Yes.
Oh,
I make a motion. if you
Yeah.
want to do that.
Okay, so
I
the
think
next
fourth-
meeting is the 27th.
Make a motion. I'll make a motion to move the meetings to bi-monthly first,
Just add a day.
so the second and fourth
Yeah,
Monday,
Yeah.
if there is.
well, there is this month.
Yeah.
So the 27th is the next one, and then following that would be the 11th of May, and following that would be Memorial Day. So I think we don't do it that
Do it
day.
that day, yeah.
So not the
Yeah.
25th.
And then in June, it would be the 8th and the 22nd.
Could you go back to,
Yes, the beginning. Yes. I can. Okay,
the other one?
the next one is the 27th of April. The next one after that is the 11th of May. We're off for Memorial Day. The next one would be the 8th of June. The 22nd of June. The 13th of July. The 27th of July. Should I keep going?
no, it's who seconded Deb's motion?
I second.
Thanks.
All in favor? Everybody okay with that?
Aye.
Yeah.
Can I'm in agreement with it, so this is just kind of an aside. We have a pretty strict attendance policy.
Yes.
Can we somewhat revisit that, please?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna hold off until the 27th. We'll have a
Okay,
reorganization meeting, I think, as the first part of it.
I'm not saying I wanna skip a bunch of stuff, but I think it's really strict when, you know, if your significant other from
I got you.
way back,
I got you.
yeah.
Summertime vacation.
I agree.
It's summertime, also now that it's twice a month, also, let's remember that it's unexcused absences.
Right,
But
right.
you know,
You
that's
give
a
a call.
murky,
Yeah.
Unexcused, you call up and say,
Call
in
Lisa,
2 weeks,
call
I'm
me,
going on
email us,
vacation.
whatever.
right.
Are we gonna consider vacations excused?
Absolutely.
I would say so.
Listen, we're a town of 800 people.
I'm just, I'm writing it
Yeah,
down,
no,
I like everything.
I also wanna be able to hear while we're talking about new business now. Is that this thing about people over there not being able to talk? I want them to, this is their town too, right? And so, yeah, there's gonna be times when you're gonna wanna say, all right, enough, we need to get business done. But 5 minutes a person,
I feel like we
I
should put
want-
that off, Jim, until we have a full board.
no, but I want people to be able to,
Right.
I want people to know
But I
that
feel
this is
like
the way I
that's a discussion
feel,
we
though.
should, yeah.
Right,
have this
but-
before.
next meeting, that's something
Not
that I
blowing
think
it
I
off, I'm
wanna.
just saying,
Oh, yeah, you are. No, but
especially
seriously,
because we
people
go, the
should have a
chair is going to, the
conversation.
chair will have to
Right.
enforce that.
Absolutely.
So before we discuss it and then.
Yep, so second and fourth month, right? Second and fourth week.
Monday. Can we keep it at 6, please?
Yes, please.
Thank
I'm
you.
agreeing about that.
So
You
my
know, it's my bedtime.
I know.
Minutes.
I do 5.
And then, let's see, what else? What do we have to do here? We're done.
Yeah, you just
I
have
think
to,
New business?
Make a motion.
Oh, you don't wanna
I
talk
think
about
we
Act
need to
181?
I have one,
Consider right
sorry.
away.
That
I'm like, how did you know I wrote that?
Hold on.
because they made you make a topic.
Hold on.
Let's take one now.
We're gonna, Ollie's got something to say here?
Yeah, I think we need to consider writing a letter to, I don't know, their senator, congressman about Act 181.
We were
There's
just,
like 120 towns that have
right,
already
it's on my,
done
it
this
was on my
in Stamford.
list to talk about today, but that's, we're not gonna.
It's just-
Let's
we
put it
don't
on the
really-
agenda for next time, because
Yeah.
it definitely deserves
Yeah,
I
we
think
can talk
it's
about it.
consideration.
It's such a hot
Take a
topic.
look at it, if you haven't read it, it's like, it's scary,
It's
but
impossible to read.
I don't see
If
it.
everyone can kind of make themselves familiar with Act 181 and where it stands by next
Laura's
month.
affiliates, she's been keeping
I agree.
everybody updated in layman's term, pretty much.
Yes.
I think
So-
Jonathan Cooper has, got his fingers on it, too.
Oh, he
Yes,
does,
he
yeah.
recently put something on Facebook, yeah.
I mean, nobody's for it, even Phil Scott isn't for it.
Well,
And they pushed
there's-
it off, now they're talking about possibly the 2030. That's what I heard.
Well, that's
It was
Act
27 last I heard it.
87 or something like that, is trying to postpone 181.
Right,
Because
the other act.
181's rolling into 250.
Exactly.
And then that goes into the
Yeah.
land use review board.
Yes,
It's just
You've been
all.
doing your reading.
It's a
Very
mess.
good.
I see
Yes.
all your trainings, just so everyone knows.
Uh-huh.
When I do trainings, I see all there all the time.
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Yeah, we got them all.
Are you going
Land
to that
use.
one, or can we do it virtually?
I have Jen had surgery and I have to bring him, so I'm gonna clock in so I get the
But we
recording and watch
can
it
do it
after.
by clocking in, so we
I'm
don't
hoping
have
it's
to
a
go.
recording, no, you can do it on,
Is it, because you can go to Dorset,
but you can do it,
You can do Zoom.
can
but I'm
you?
hoping they
Yeah.
record it so I can watch it.
All right.
What's your training?
Because I have
Land
myself
use.
scheduled to go there, I'm like, why am I gonna do
I'm-
that?
Motion to adjourn.
Sorry.
Second.
Aye.
All in favor, aye, 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 aye.
Is it through VLCT? Was it? Okay, yeah.